got a sanitation process in place, you still are going to have weeds. So you're going to have to develop a weed management plan for your crop production areas. And here is our standard program. We rely on pre-emergence herbicides, broad-spectrum granular products that combine a product that is strong on broadleaf weed control with a product that's strong on grass control. Now, this is no surprise to you. This is what we're doing, 3 to 6 applications a year, and a lot of, whether you're doing 3 or 6 depends on, primarily on the philosophy of the producer. What herbicides are labeled? We have broad-spectrum products such as OH2, Route, Showcase, Snapshot, Broadstar, Revelo O, HGH 75. These are all very broad-spectrum herbicides, but sometimes you cannot use the broader spectrum products. You need a narrower spectrum product that would be safer on some tender ornamentals. And some of those narrower spectrum products, Pendulum or Corral, Regal KG, Ronstar, Regal Star, HGH 63, which is oxyfluorophane, straight oxyfluorophane granule. We've got a lot of products to choose from here. We have a lot of herbicides labeled for nurseries. Okay? And we've got one more that's just been labeled, FreeHand. Well, how do we choose the right one for our nursery, for our situation? Well, the obvious first choice is safety to the crop. We all know hydrangeas are sensitive to a lot of crops, but it goes beyond that. We found Canthus was injured by OH2. We would never have guessed this. Okay? But it caused some leaf spotting on plants. So we're learning about this. You've got to learn. Obviously, we're not going to put OH2 or Route on daylilies. It burns the leaves. If you overdose with dinitroamylin herbicides, you can inhibit the root growth of azaleas. So you've got to research the products and make sure that you're choosing one that is safe on the crops that you're growing. In woody nursery crops, we have a lot of choices available. Broad spectrum products like OH2, Route, Broadstar, Snapshot, Showcase, lots of options that are safe on a lot of the woody ornamentals. You do have to watch out for a few species that are sensitive. Euonymus is sensitive. Some of the hydrangeas are sensitive. Nandina can be sensitive to a few species. But by and large, these products are safe when used according to the label directions. OH2, Route, those are our standards. They've been in the industry for a long time. They're safe on most woody ornamentals. Broadstar is safe on conifers and larger woody plants. We do not use that on newly planted liners and rooted cuttings. Snapshot is one of the broad spectrum products that we use if OH2 or Broadstar or Route is not safe. So Snapshot is a little safer on some ornamentals, but that safety comes at a cost. Okay? This is a pendulum. It's safer on the ornamentals. Chances are it's going to be a little bit less effective on the weeds in general. As I mentioned, Broadstar can cause some injury to some plants. Here's what it looks like when it's applied on young plants. These are seedling wax myrtles, young rooted cuttings of privet, gold mound, spirea. And this is not the type of injury we would have initially expected. It's actually from root uptake. So the Broadstar label clearly states now, do not use it on newly potted liners. Okay, they need to be in 3-gallon pots or larger, step-up type materials. So it's not for your first round of treating on new plantings. What about if you're growing herbaceous perennials? Obviously, we can't use these broad-spectrum products. They're going to burn the plants and injure them. So there are very few herbicides labeled. Pendulum 2G by far has the broadest label. So in terms of the best combination of safety and efficacy, Pendulum 2G is your choice in herbaceous perennials. There are some exceptions to that. Some of the sedums can be injured by Pendulum. But by and large, I've only injured 1 or 2 species with pendulum. Snapshot is widely used in herbaceous perennial production, but you do have to be cautious. It can cause some injury on some sensitive species like phlox, sedum, stachys, veronica, dianthus. So you need to research, particularly if you want to try a broader spectrum product like Snapshot in perennials, you need to research that carefully. Okay, and make sure that your crops are going to be safe. Like I said, if you are just starting out with herbicide use in herbaceous plants, Pendulum 2G certainly has the broadest label, and we've tested it on an awful lot of herbaceous perennials, been safe on most plants, and gives you pretty good control of some important weeds like crabgrass, goosegrass, and spurge is quite good on that. So woodies, a lot of choices. Herbaceous perennials, a few choices. What if you're going to produce your own liners? Very few choices. There's very few herbicides labeled for use in liner production. Why? We're trying to grow some roots in some little bitty pots, and herbicides, most of our herbicides are root inhibitors. So most of them are not going to be labeled there. So you can't use these root inhibiting herbicides. You use some of the products that are not root inhibitors, like Ronstar and Rigolopa. Those are not root inhibiting herbicides, but they will burn the foliage. So if you put either of these on this house of Liriope liners, you're going to burn the Liriope. So you've got to focus your efforts in liner production. Focus your efforts on sanitation. Sanitation is important. In an open structure like a shade structure, you can use some pre-emergence herbicides. But if you are in a covered structure, no residual herbicides can be used. No pre-emergence herbicides in a covered greenhouse type structure. And that's just the way it is. So if you have this structure covered with plastic, it is a greenhouse structure. You cannot use pre-emergence herbicides in there.